And we're off. Let me pull this down a little bit because that's pulling a little high. Music. The music man is here, man. And then we need to go to this main. Oh, wrong. Hold on, I'm on my work account. Let me switch this over. Oh, where are we? Where are we? There we go. Oh, I forgot I had to do this. Wait. Okay. And we're off. There we go. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Okay, so musica, what do we got going on here? Sounds like some old school stuff. Let's do a little Tribe Called Quest radio. How's that sound for everybody? And then just got to pull up the chat board. Which is love like this. Hold tight, team. I had to set up extra signing in things. All right, there it is. Welcome everybody to another live edition of Making You a Bartending Pro. My name is Jason. I have kind of a broken thumb, so can't really open this very well. Cheers, Shake. Welcome. Good to see y'all. Drinking a little blood orange IPA by 10 Barrel. I was like, man, you drink a lot of 10 Barrel. Like, well, the company they work for, we kind of partner with them in in a roundabout way. So anyway, so yeah, how's things? How's everybody? Ed and Eden, Rad Dude with the Rad Tude, Katrina, what up? Hello, Shake, welcome. All right, so this is officially week number 2. Doing these at 6:30. This is the new start time. So that's 6:30 Pacific Standard West Coast United States time, as opposed to the 7 o'clock time we have been doing these. So I suspect it's going to take a good month before everybody figures it out. So that's why there's a little bit of a slow start and all these things. So Maria, I need to turn my screen brightness up. I can't see what that says. Yanilmes? Am I saying that right? Mario. Sorry, I said Maria. Mario. I couldn't see. Mario, what up? Welcome to the show. So, no agenda. Just kind of open format Q&A. Mosh and Fanger, what up? Long time no see, homie. Cheers, brother. So yeah, how's things? How's everybody? I've been busy. I think I told you guys I crashed on my bicycle last week. I'm supposed to be in a little thumb cast, but I took it off because it's really hard to type with it. But yeah, things are good. Anybody get a job? Hopefully you guys didn't fall for the Instagram hoax that's going on right now, where everybody's reposting that picture that says Instagram does not have the right to use my pictures or sue me or any of that kind of shit. Don't do it. It's a hoax. It's not real. So I think that was text taken from an update from Facebook like in 2012. So if you sign up for any social service, they own everything you put on there because it's their website. So anyway, good fun. It's funny watching how many of my friends fall for that one, because I've seen that one 4 or 5 times in the last like day. So pretty funny. Ed and Eden? I'm gonna call you Eden. I don't know if that's right. Is it true that when you're first starting out with bartending, you should lie on your resume when it comes to experience portion and say you have experience when you don't. I wouldn't say that's true. I would say that it's true that a lot of people do that, and that it does work for a lot of people to get their first gig. However, I'm not going to tell you one way or the other, right? You need to do what you need to do to survive, and honestly, I don't really care. I know a lot of people that have done that. I know most people get started without needing to lie on their resume. You got to be careful with that because it's easy to not elaborate, it's not the right word, embellish too much, and you can get yourself into a job where, let me back up and I'd say that everybody that I know that did lie on their resume, the people that where they got hired from lying on their resume figured out very quickly that they were lying. So most people I know that get found out, and hopefully you do a good enough job in selling yourself really quickly and they don't fire you. But it doesn't, it's not something that you have to do. You can do it if you need to. You got to do what you need to do to survive. I understand that. I know a lot of people that do that to get started. So just be careful that you don't embellish to the point where you'll get yourself into a situation that you won't be able to handle. Like don't go slap a resume down that says you have 5 years of experience in high volume establishment if this is your first gig, because you're trying to get a job at like a nightclub or something, because you will just get your ass absolutely handed to you and you will be unemployed if you even make it through the first shift. They might send you home immediately. So do what you got to do, but be careful. Don't get yourself into anything that you can't handle. But yeah, that's where it comes down. You just got to get to know some people. Mario, try to change my name, but surname is still the same. All good, no worries, Mario. I'm the one who likes to butcher names like an ignorant American fuck. So I do apologize about that. I try not to, but sometimes it happens. Susie DeLisi, hey, what up? Fanger, what you drinking? Looks good. Doing good. I'm trying to get a job, liquor store, state owned, so good benefits. Oh, nice. Yeah, working for the state. Good stuff. I'm drinking some Blood Orange IPA, Fanger. It's Blood Orange IPA. Yeah, these guys, they're a fellow Bend, Oregon brand, because that's where I'm at nowadays, is up in Bend, Oregon. And I work for a weed company. I think I told you guys that. If you didn't know that, that's what I do now. Still doing this bartending stuff for you guys, educational wise, but I actually switched my digital media marketing stuff into the cannabis industry. Anyway, long story short, we're doing some secret ninja stuff with these guys. Nothing that's got weed in it, so I'm not going to get anybody in trouble, but can't really say yet. Anyway, they give us free beer all the time, which is pretty cool. So I do appreciate that. Thank you, 10 Barrel. And only because I've heard a lot of times you won't get accepted if they know you are inexperienced. Well, it just depends on what you're talking about, Eden. Eden? I keep flipping back and forth. Make it Vermont. What are you going to call the guy? I'm going to call you Eden, like Garden of Eden. That's cool. It's let's see, how would I say that? Because there's certain places that will prefer to have experience for sure. But there's most people get started in this industry without lying about experience on their resume. It all comes down to more than when you're first starting out, more than your experience. It's about getting to know people. So that's why I'm always banging on, you got to get out there, pound the pavement, knock on doors, shake some hands, and try to get to know people that can give you a shot. Because if they know you because you've come in and dropped your resume and you followed up a few times and you go talk to the same managers and they're starting to get to know you, then eventually, if you have a big list of 20 or 30 places that you do that with, somebody's going to have a job come open and go like, hey man, call that fucking Eden guy. Like, he's on top of his shit. He is always doing stuff. Is that easiest bartending job ever? Is that the one about the pouring in tap rooms? Yes, good call, shake. So look at like tap rooms is a good place to start. Eden, and get to know the people, the managers, the owners. Knock on some doors, drop some resumes, follow up, and that's where you're gonna find your best luck. And best of luck to you, Fanger, getting that state job, getting them government benefits and shit. Well done. Jenny Clemente Mello. Jenny Clemente Mello. Hey, Jason, hope you're doing better. What would you say it's best to start a job in a bar or at a restaurant for beginners? Thanks. The best job when you're first starting out is the first one that comes along. So if it's at a bar or a restaurant or a food truck cart thing, you know, whatever, anything that gets you going. Because what a lot of people, what I've started to realize is that people kind of feel like that once you start somewhere, then because, you know, they have this idea of like most places like to see 2 to 5 years of experience. So my first job I get, I have to stay there for 2 to 5 years to get that experience. So they get this first job and they're like, oh man, this sucks. Which is true a lot, can sometimes, not all the time, but your first job can suck. But just because you got that first job doesn't mean you have to stay there for 2 to 5 years. So I would say take whatever job comes along first. Start working, put that shit on your resume. Now you're an official working bartender. Start gaining experience, ask a lot of questions, talk to your customers, talk to your managers, talk to your owners, talk to everybody, learn as much as you can. Soak it up like a sponge. But continue to keep trying to climb up the chain. So keep looking for the next best thing. Unless the first place you get hired at is really awesome, which can happen. So take the first thing you get, stand on it, keep looking for the next one. And then you just keep doing that. Keep climbing up the chain until you do get to a place that you're like, ah, yes, got it. This is awesome. And there you go. So that's what I'm going to say for you, Jenny. The best one is the first one that gives you a chance. And then after that, you'll find out, Jenny, what your personal preference is. Some people prefer a fine dining situation because it's something that they really want to do for long term. And with fine dining type establishment, you can work well into your twilight years. And it's not going to be difficult to hold that job. Versus if you are young and you get into like a nightclub situation, your days are likely going to be numbered because, as you might have noticed, there are not a lot of older people working in nightclubs. So it's about finding a balance of what you want in the moment, how long you're trying to do this in this job, you know. So there's kind of a few things to take into account. As I've said many times, my personal preference is the restaurant gig because the steady nature of the restaurant bar and the food helps you up the tabs, and you want to find a busy restaurant, not a slow one. But that was tend to be my preference. I didn't like the nightclub thing because it was too late for me. I was up too damn late. I didn't like seeing first light when I was leaving. Fine dining just wasn't my style. Dive bars are fun, but can be kind of just depressing in general. And those can be really late night too. So my personal preference was the restaurant style. And I've worked in all of those. So that's my 2 cents about it. Deadmau5 Fanatic 1. Love my bar job in Vegas. Going back to Flagstaff this weekend. I miss the brothers. Nice. Right on. That's right. Forgot you're hustling in Vegas. Good job on you, Deadmau5 Fanatic. Susie DeLisi, yeah, I know it's fun. It's cool working in this industry. Very cool. Colin Powell, what up? Colin Powell. I keep trying to call you Colin Powell. Colin Powell, sorry. Colin Powell. Good to see you, man. Mario Yanilmes. I keep trying to fuck up your last name. Nope, I never lied about that. I always said I can't make more cocktails, but know mostly things about behind the bar and service. I love being behind the bar. Honestly, that's kind of talented. Yeah, thanks, man. I watched a couple of your videos. You're a good man and a great bartender. Discipline is good. You teach so many things to me. Absolutely, Mario. You're welcome. Just trying to share the love. Did this for so damn long. Just just every possible scenario and situation in almost every type of bar. I went through it. So just trying to share, pass on the knowledge for you guys. Because what you all gotta remember is that it's not that hard. It's a lot easier than you think. The stress you feel about getting started because you're worried about not knowing a drink comes down to, my opinion, just being nervous about talking in front of people. So work on your public speaking skills, and that'll help you once you get behind a bar. Because you're comfortable talking to anyone when you get behind a bar. That's the part that feels slightly odd, because you don't know how to like interact with people. It's like you kind of, and you're like in the back of your mind scared they're gonna order some weird shit. But what you gotta remember is like most people don't know crazy weird ninja drinks. The weirdest shit that you're gonna get ordered is generally on your menu, and you'll be able to see it and study it and practice it before they even take the training wheels off. So the most of the time people order very normal, boring stuff. For the most part, your job is customer service. Now, if you work at like a really busy place, then it's about speed and volume and efficiency of motion. And I have separate videos about that, but generally, even in those types of environments, you're still talking about basic ordering. There's still not people don't come in with weird, crazy drinks. It's self-explanatory. 2-part vodka soda, rum and coke, Jack and Coke. Give me a beer, give me a glass of wine, give me a shot of whiskey or tequila or Jameson, right? I mean, that's 97% of it. So, and then if you get into different styles, like if you get into the real craft stuff, super crafty bars, you're not generally, that's kind of a different style where you're not really going to be doing a lot of super high volume stuff. So you'll have time to like get into the arts and crafts side of it and make pretty cool cocktails. So anyway, I don't know what I'm blathering on about. Let's see, where were we? Eden, exactly like Garden of Eden. Awesome, nailed it. I had it right the first time. Eden, what do you think starting out? I'd be better to be cocktail waitress? Oh, sorry. Cocktail waitress or just straight making drinks and serving them? Well, cocktail waitressing, then you're on the floor. You're waitressing. So if you want to be a bartender and you want to make drinks, then I'd say get back there behind the bar. So that's where you're gonna get your experience in being a booze slinging gangster. But it's up to you, because I know depending on the situation, cocktail waitresses can make good money, and in some places they can make much better money than the bartenders. So I know bartenders make a lot of money in Vegas, and that's usually because, and this is nightclub situations, and that's usually because their cocktail waitresses are just tipping them out like crazy. You got 5 waitresses, and they're each giving you, $150 or $200 on their tip out because they made $1,500. So personal preference and what you're looking for. All about the cocktail. What up? Moshing Fanger. Prefer craft beer bars just because I started to get into craft beer and it felt easier to talk to patrons and suggest things to them. For sure. And that's something you guys should all keep in mind, right? When you're angling towards the type of place that you want to work at, it's like, where do you want to work? Like, are you a sports fanatic? You should go work at a sports bar. Do you love the culinary arts, side of it? And you want to become the crafty guy? Go that way. Do you like just kind of chilling out, chatting with people? Look for kind of a mellow spot. So definitely follow whatever you're interested in. So like Fanger, that's a great example. If you're interested in craft beer, going to work at a craft beer spot, it's fantastic. Molly Cirinelli moved to San Diego in September to finish my degree at UCSD. Congratulations, girl. What do you think my chances are of getting a job as a bartender or server? I have absolutely no restaurant food experience. I think that having just come from San Diego, Molly, you're kind of in a challenging time of the year. Coming into town in September, because that's where a lot of places will tend to kind of ramp down their hiring, because you're coming out of the summer season, which is the busier season. However, down at UCSD, you're close to, if you end up living down close to campus, you're close to downtown, and Little Italy and Bankers Hill and all that area is really good. There's a fantastic foodie bar, restaurant scene in that whole zone. So I would go knock on doors, and what I would try to do is, if you don't have any experience, you can do the good old lie on your resume stuff. But what I would say is to try to start in a host position. You can maybe start something entry-level position like food runner or host, and just let them know your intentions from the beginnings. Like, hey, I really want to be a bartender. Hey, I really want to be a server. Even if you're there interviewing to be a host. It's like super stoked to come in and do this hosting job, but really what I'd love to do someday is be able to show my worth and get an opportunity to start bartending or serving, right? So, and both of those have their pluses and minuses depending on the location. Bartenders might make more, or servers might make more. So do your homework, get in, feel it out. It's good to do as many jobs as you can in this industry, in my opinion, especially if you want to do something beyond just a few years, like working through school, which may be just kind of your only plan, which that's initially how I got into it. But then you get in, it's a lot of fun, and you end up staying there for 15 years. So get in, get some experience, be willing to start in other lower positions. And then once you get in there, learn it, ask a lot of questions, make sure you're the squeaky wheel, let your owners and managers know you're wanting to move up, and be a good, solid, reliable employee. And they will, if they're smart, take care of you. And if they don't, then get the hell out. Mario, last week I was fucked up. I fucked up, I'm assuming is what you meant, on my work, because I had arguments with a customer because I didn't like my job. I missed behind the bar, so it was a good way to give up. Yeah, sometimes you'll just have a customer that snaps on you to the point where you realize, like, fuck this, I'm out of here. I'm out. Done. So, all good. Everything works out as it should in life. Even when you're in really difficult situations and you feel like you're hitting rock bottom, everything works out as it should. And the good thing about hitting rock bottom, I'm not saying that you're hitting rock bottom, but just in general, the good thing about hitting rock bottom is it can only get better. Edgar Trejo, what up? Good to see you. All about the cocktail. I just did a mojito video. I love he's always in here plugging his shit. Colin Powell, Playboy makes bartender guides. My friend suggested I pick up one from the 70s to look at some classic drinks in my free time. It's called Playboy Hosts in Bar Book, I think. Are there classic Playboy pictures in their column? I would say that could make a very, very interesting drink recipe book. Fantastic. Eden. And I agree, Colin, that it's good to be savvy about the classics. But again, if you kind of gotta, like, that's why I'm kind of like hesitant to tell people to spend a bunch of time memorizing drinks, because you don't know what kind of place you're gonna end up. You might end up at a sports bar that's really focused on craft cocktails. Not craft cocktails, because those would be some classics. Maybe you work at a sports bar that really focuses on like tiki drinks and Mai Tais type stuff, you know, and you don't make any classics, which some may argue that the tikis are classics. But my point is that you shouldn't spend too much time memorizing or learning a bunch of style of drinks, because you don't know where you're going to end up. And if you spend a bunch of time learning a bunch of drinks, you end up somewhere else that you might never use them. Then that's kind of the same as like the bartending school. It's like, why pay to learn a bunch of shit that you might not ever use? But it is good to be familiar with a couple of the basics, right? For sure. Classics. couple of the classics, but most of them you know, you've heard of. Old Fashions, sorry, heard somebody out there creeping around. Old Fashions, and that here. Let me pull up the martinis. Let's see, I got the most common drink list. Manhattans, Collins, Sours, Rickies. These are a couple of good ones. So that's a basic place to start. But don't go too much down the rabbit hole, Colin. The most important thing you do is just get out there and start knocking on doors. Eden, what do you think? The more high... Wait, I feel like I'm missing some questions, comments here. Playboy makes bartender guides. Blah, blah, blah. Already got that one. Eden, what do you think the more high-end, fancy, rich people like to order? Beers? Shots of whiskey? They're not any different. People that go to fine dining places generally drink wine and martinis, right? So the bar that I worked at was in one of the more wealthy pockets in the country, down in Del Mar in North County, San Diego. We had a lot of very wealthy people, most of them which you wouldn't even know are wealthy because they don't flaunt it. That's the thing I find about most of the really, really wealthy people aren't flaunting it. The people that flaunt it are the ones that are trying too hard. So anyway, my point is that they just drink normal shit. They just have Budweiser and shots of whiskey just like anybody else. So if you work in a fine dining place, you might have more of the high-end cocktails, you know, like your martinis, Manhattans, stuff like that. But generally the level of education, intelligence, income doesn't necessarily influence so much what they order, because I've seen all over those ranges ordering all sorts of crazy stuff. Mario, let's see what we got here. Don't have any money to eat anything for 2 days, and now I have 2 jobs, both of them in the bar, and both of them owners, and love how I'm working good, but I don't think I'm really good. I'm lost now. Don't worry about it, Mario. Just have fun. Watch a bunch of my videos, brother. You'll be all right. Go dig into all the playlists that I have, and hopefully, if you're working, your owners will feed you. If you're hard on if you're having a hard time getting food and stuff. Sorry to hear about that, man. But go just be honest to your owners, and hopefully they'll take care of you. HTX Taylor. About to start bartending school in a hotel. Wait. Tending bar at a hotel in a few weeks. Wish me luck, y'all. All right. Taylor. I'm going to just call you Taylor. Cheers, brother. Congrats on that. You're going to kick some ass, take some names. Dead Mouse Fanatic. Can I ask you something? Gin drinkers, alcoholics? I love gin. I've seen alcoholics come in all shapes, sizes, colors, and preferences for their poison. Just because you like gin doesn't make you an alcoholic. Now, if you're getting up and you're making gin and tonics for breakfast, then we might need to have a conversation. Yeah, no, I've seen it all shapes and sizes. Gin, just one of the arrows in the quiver of those that like to indulge. So, but just drinking gin, no, doesn't necessarily make you a problem drinker. Colin Powell, no pictures, no nudes, just some drink recipes in the books. There's only like one woman in the whole thing. Well, still cool. Still good stuff in there, I'm sure. Dig through there, see what you can learn. Take it for what it's worth and what you can get out of it, and then move on from there, buddy. Eden, as someone who's been in the industry so long, what's your take on alcoholism? Man, it's a can of worms with me. Honestly, it's let's see, how do I say this? It's, first of all, I do wholeheartedly think it's a disease. Alcohol is a drug. just as bad or worse, I think, than some legal drugs or some of the other ones that are considered worse. Alcohol I've seen ruin people in their lives more than anything else. And I've seen everybody, or I should say, I've seen a lot of people around me doing everything under the sun that you can think of. Every possible drug that you can snort, smoke, drink, whatever. It's I've seen it. And alcohol is hands down the most destructive. And largely because I think, well, I don't know, we won't get into the social aspect of it. But so that being said, the first thing I'll say is that I take empathy on those that struggle with it, because it is a disease. The other thing is drives me nuts is how nonchalant all societies around the world are about it. Like, I'm working in cannabis industry now, and the stuff that you hear about a plant that can be used for recreation, but like legitimately has some legitimate fucking health benefits to it, and the criticism that it gets, and then those same people will just turn around and casually say, oh, hey, we're gonna go down to happy hour and have a few beers. And it's just mind-boggling, because alcohol is literally one of the worst things we can put in our bodies, right? Cheers. Now, good times, but it's real easy for it to get away from you. And the other thing about working in a bar is when you're in there and you're working all the time, you start to get a skewed perception of reality of what is normal levels of drinking, what is acceptable levels of drinking. And so it's easy to get into this spiral where you kind of get sucked into, or I should say slide into very easily, the habit of drinking a lot. And then because it's such a gnarly drug, you just get kind of roped into it, and it just, you end up drinking a shitload. You're having a shot or two during your shift, and then like another one after work, and a beer, and then you go out and you meet your homies and you have a couple more, and it's like a heavy duty thing. So alcoholism is rampant in your customers, it's rampant in your coworkers, it will be all around you. So it is something that, for me, was one of the things that kind of pushed me away from the industry, because I realized that it's just not my personal preference thing. But to each their own, right? We all have our vices. We all have our thing. I just really want my friends, and you guys are my friends, to just be careful with it. I know there's a lot of functioning alcoholics, which is cool, If you're a friendly, nice, happy person and you're getting all your shit done, then hey, more power to you. But anyway, I'll hop off my soapbox about it. That's all I'll say about that. Cool. Jenny Clemente Mello, what do you think about what do you think about a first experience job at a hotel bar? That's a good spot. That's a good spot to start. Hotel bars generally pretty friendly. They can be really busy, depending on the hotel. They can be great money as well. All about the cocktail. You can still promote. See ya. Hit me up for a collab. Anytime, brother. Anytime. Eden. I know some of the more wealthy people like to order 1,000-year-old bourbon or something. Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, if you have money, then, if you're ordering Louis XIII or something, you're not going to be doing that if you're living on below the poverty line or anything. Fanger! We have a bar in my town that sells this whiskey for $67 a shot. Most of it high-income people. And let's stick to Coors and Budweiser. Yeah, for sure. And that goes without saying that the really, 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 really expensive shit is only probably going to be bought by the people that are making more money. However, it's also really rare, I found in my experience, that they're not coming in there and they're ordering that all the time. They're usually just having, Budweisers and Coors, And then when they're celebrating, then they'll get the good shit. And they're not afraid to get whatever good shit that they want. But I just don't find that you're in certain places maybe, but like in the places where I worked, we weren't, the really ultra premium top shelf stuff isn't flying out the door. You know, the $100 shots of fucking tequila or bourbon or cognac, whatever. 10 mils says my bartenders tell me gin drinkers are alcoholics, so I don't drink gin in the morning. There you go. You're in a good spot then, buddy. Mario, thanks, mate. Have a good night. Be here next time. Thanks for stopping by, Mario. Fanger says, the way I look at addiction is same as allergies. Some people react differently with substances. With one person, they may take a drug and hate how it makes them feel, and others, they will love how it makes them feel. I do whatever it takes to get that feeling if it means consuming their lives. Even if it means consuming their lives. Yeah, no, it's for sure. You know, like I more, let me just say I prefer to like toke my buzz. And my lady, she likes vino. So, you know, and she kind of doesn't go the other way. Where wine I'll enjoy a decent glass of wine, but I don't drink a lot of it because it just hurts my head too much. And likewise, although she's starting to dabble with various forms of consumption with cannabis, she doesn't really smoke weed or anything like that. So anyway, yeah, no, I'm not trying to beat up anybody. I'm just trying to say, like, I've seen, being in a very dysfunctional environment for a very long time, I've seen firsthand how it just can get out of hand and get away from people who very much think they got it, a handle on it. Molly Cirinelli, I know this seems basic, but what do you do to keep standing 8 hours plus per shift? Special shoes, exercise, stretches? Yes, all the above. Absolutely. You need to have good shoes. The trick is to find ones that are nice and soft and cushy, which I usually cheat that by putting some of those nice gel soles in there. Put some nice insoles in there. And then you want non-slip, at least if you're working in a restaurant, because the floors will get like greasy and fall and slip and eat shit, and I've seen blown out knees and broken things and stuff. So, and then just exercising and stretching, that's just everyday good for you stuff. But taking breaks every so often, you know, you'll have, being in California, they're pretty strict about every 3 hours you got to take a 15-minute break, or every 6 hours you have to take a half an hour break, if I remember. So they'll give you breaks, go sit down. But there are definitely times when you're working and it's just slammed and you're just going fifth gear pinned for 6, 7, 8 hours, 9 hours straight. And by the time you get to the end and you sit down, you're like, oh, it never felt so good to sit down. Hopefully they have rubber mats back there, super common, most behind the bars, which helps a little bit. Eden, have you ever been crossfaded? Have I ever been crossfaded? Like today? Of course, my friend. I've worked in a bar for 15 years, seen everything else under the sun, dabbled a little bit here and there myself. And so, yes, I would say I've been crossfaded a time or three. Absolutely. Not so much anymore. Getting a little bit older now. Married guy, boring. But maybe a little bit when I'm having like a couple beers and then have a little toke or something. Get a little fade. A little crossfade going on. Finger. All shoes addiction is typically not always a side problem that has to do with some past trauma. Yeah. For sure. Early traumas will definitely influence a person's susceptibility and likelihood to have substance abuse issues of various types, for sure. Although I've known some very normal, comfortably spoiled kids that just fell into derelism simply from a lack of I guess what it would have been just a lack of discipline from their parents, and they're just like, yeah, go whatever, do whatever the fuck you want, and they turn into derelicts. Anyway, yeah, Shaky has it. Shaky, thank you, Shake. Colin had a good friend die from drugs recently. It sucks. Yeah, sorry for your loss there, Colin, for sure. As Eden said, that's pretty heavy stuff. No, I've had some friends die. They weren't super close, but I've had some friends that I've known that have passed away from drug stuff. My little brothers, had some friends from high school that died in the last few years. It's heavy stuff. That's the thing that's crazy is it starts so innocently enough, and then it kind of, you slip down into it, and then next thing you know, you're on the roller coaster to hell. Things come to terms with it. No one lives forever, for sure, man. And I won't go off the deep end of the esoteric meaning of life or anything, but yeah, it's true. None of us are getting out of here alive. Hopefully, we get out of here in our old age, when we're 120 years old, lived a good long life. But we're all gonna meet on the other side, right? Cheers. Cheers to your homie, Colin. All right. Eden, if you don't already have kids, would you ever consider fatherhood? Sorry if that's too personal. No, not too personal. Bit of a random question on here, though. I don't know. Sometimes I think it'd be cool. And then sometimes I look at people with like crazy kids and it's like, fuck that, man. My wife is currently of the idea that she does not want kids, which is fine with me because I'm not going to push that right now. However, I do got a good almost 11 years on her, so I think at some point her body might change her mind, but we'll see. We shall see. So right now I'm just going with the flow, man. I think having kids would be really fucking hard early when they're young and stuff and raising them and all that shit. And then it's cool through the middle part of life, and then the huge payoff is even more at the end, like when we're old and we can't really do anything, and you can see your kids and their kids, and you kind of see the generational baton being passed, and you get to see how that perpetuates. I think that might be cool. So that's the only thing I would worry about regretting if we didn't have kids, if you get to that point and you're like, fuck, I wanted kids. So I don't know, not sure. Not worried about it now. I figured 10 plus years before I got to really urgently make that decision. Fanger, do you think being a soda jerk would take similar skills as a bartender? I don't know, what's a soda jerk? Fanger? Slang term I'm not savvy to. Soda jerk, just being like pouring sodas and stuff? Skills being a bartender. I mean, really, honestly, any customer service job is going to be similar to bartending. That's why I say this job is less about the drinks and more about the customer service element. And so that can be the same if you're working in like a restaurant, like as a server, or if you're working as a barista serving coffee, or if you're a soda jerk, pouring sodas for people, right? Customer service is customer service. So I would just say that bartending is maybe the most high profile customer service job. You could maybe say that. So similar, but maybe not as glamorous or fun. I don't know. Something like that. I'd say a little something like that. All right, 10 minutes, because we're going to wrap these up at 7:30. Remember, we started these earlier. Let's switch these times, squeeze these a little earlier. Do them 6:30 to 7:30 as opposed to 7 and 8. Just trying to shift my time a little bit earlier. Easier for my life nowadays. So we'll do last call for questions, y'all. Remember to follow on all the social media stuff at Bartending Pro, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, YouTube. Those are the main ones. Remember all the weird texts going around on Instagram right now about Instagram doesn't have the right to use my posts or my pictures, and they cannot prosecute me and all that kind of shit that you see your friends reposting. That is a hoax, so don't get sucked into it. And you can make fun of your friends if they do, which I've been doing that all day. For the few that have been getting sucked into it, it's like, come on, man. Come on, man. Eden, do you skate? I do. I don't really skate much anymore. I'm 43 now, which isn't that old, but it's old if you skateboard. The thing with skateboarding, because I love skateboarding. I started skating. I got my first skateboard when I was 7 years old, and immediately just was obsessed with it. I skated all the time, really hard, all the way up until about my late 30s or so. The thing with skateboarding is it doesn't matter how good you are, you will always have those inevitable slams. As you get better, you slam less, but you actually slam harder, in my opinion. I mean, you take some pretty bad falls when you're learning too, but once you start progressing into like, you know, intermediate advanced skateboarding level and professional level, it's like those dudes slam a lot less, but when they slam, it's like fucking they slam. I mean, sometimes they're really good at getting out of stuff, but when they you really go down, you go down. So my body just couldn't handle those slams anymore. It started keeping me like out of the water, doing the things I want to do. It's like I'd eat shit at the skate park and I wouldn't be able to surf for 2 months because I fucked up my shoulder. It's like, God damn it. So I love skating, but it's kind of gone. You know, there's a reason why when you go to the skate park, you only see young people there and kids. So, but I always have my skateboard in my car. I'll intentionally park down the street so that I can like skate to work, or, you know, if I'm going to meet the missus for lunch or something, I'll kind of park a few blocks away so I can just ride my skateboard. And I try to keep my feet familiar with the board, but I'm not in there going hard and getting crazy or radical anymore. I just, once you hit 40 or so, it's hard to do. It's hard to do. But I do miss it. It's good times. Colin says, do most people like Pilsner? They tend to taste better than the others. I agree with you, my friend. I'm a light Pilsner lager guy. There's a lot of the craft beers are all IPAs though. Like this is an IPA, which these are super popular. And if you ask all the craft breweries, they'll say that they will offer a Pilsner or a lager, and then the rest of their fucking, selection, excuse me, they'll have, 5 to 10 IPAs and then a bunch of cool stuff. Like, I like that the craft brewery thing blew up, and there was pails, and like there was pails lagers, and then there was like IPAs, and there wasn't a whole lot out. There was some stouts, and there wasn't a whole lot outside of that. Now you're getting a lot more variety, and you're getting Weisses and Wits and Wheats and all kinds of cool combinations of stuff. So it's fun to see the evolution of it. But back to, I forget what your original question was there, Colin. I'd say a lot of people can drink Pilsner, but personal preference thing. I wouldn't say most people. I'd say most people like Pilsner, but I'd say most people, especially in the craft brew scene, tend to go for the little more heavy-duty IPA stuff. Just at the moment. It's a trend, though. I think it's starting to swing back the other way. Edens, have you ever broken a bone? Oh, yeah, man. Many. I tried to dislocate my thumb 2 weeks ago riding mountain bikes. That's the funny thing is, I'll stop one sport and I'll start doing another. Like I started playing soccer really hard when I stopped skating, and I started playing indoor soccer, or if you're out of the U.S., indoor football. And if you are a footy or soccer player, you'll know that is definitely not low impact on your body. You're not getting tackled or slammed, but the the stop go and the changing of directions fucking tears up your knees. So I stopped doing that. Now I ride downhill mountain bikes, which is fucking definitely a young man sport, but it's really fun. So anyway, I slammed the other day and tried to rip my thumb off and crashed into some lava rocks and shit. It was good fun. Anyway, I've broken many bones. I will not rattle them off to you, but I've had many broken bones and a handful of surgeries and screws gone and in and out of me a few times. So good times. Use it or lose it. That's what I say about your body. Use it or lose it. Jenny Clemente Mello. What's the easiest way to remember a cocktail recipe? I'm so confused with all these whiskeys. Jenny, let's see here. Start with, Shaky Stone, why don't you grab a couple of the like working bartender playlists? Like, grab the, the working bartender, bartending 101. Start with some of those, Jenny. And don't worry too much about the memorizing the drink recipe stuff right now. Like, work on kind of the basics of the job. Work on your customer service stuff. Like practice. I think one of the best things I'm gonna start recommending people, especially if you need a side job. Obviously, if you're looking at this anyway, start Ubering. Go Uber for a couple of months, and work on talking to just random people that you Uber, and this will give you a good way to kind of just shoot the shit. You'll learn to just start up conversations and try to not let the car go. I mean, obviously you don't want to harass people, but try to have conversations with people that you're giving, and that's time better spent than just trying to study drink recipes. I put a list up earlier, Jenny, up top here about the common drink recipes that I slapped on here. I'll put it on here again. Work on learning these and drinks similar to those, and then after that, just don't go too much down the rabbit hole, because you don't know what type of place you're going to work at. Like, you're worrying about learning a bunch of whiskeys, you might go to a tequila bar and you might not ever even serve whiskey or very many beyond like Jack and Makers. So there's no point in being a whiskey expert, is my point. Likewise, you might end up working at a whiskey bar and you might not ever serve tequila, so you might not need to know anything besides like Sauza, Patron, and Casadores or something, So don't worry about what you think you need to know right now. Work on the people skills. Work on getting out there and knocking on doors is the best thing you guys can do. Okay, flood of questions here coming in. Colin says I skate casually too. Awesome. Yeah, I started skating last year at 30. Popped my wrist out of socket after a few good hits. Yeah, longboarding. For sure. Fanger says Pilsner, very light crisp beer, close to your light. Adjunct lager, like Coors, Miller Lite, Bud Light, etc. And they would be more clean tasting because they wouldn't have all the adjuncts. Yep, absolutely. Which, that's all I like, just the light, easy drinking stuff. I think I worked at a Mexican style place for too long. I just drank too many Modelo's and Coronas, and that's what I like. I love to ruin a good quality lager with a lime in it, even if it's not a Mexican lager. Michael Shannon, hey, enrolled in the European bartending school for 1 week, 900 euros. Is it worth it? Damn! It's like 1,100 bucks? No, euros. Yeah, so yeah, 1,100 bucks, something like that. I don't know what's the exchange right now. Sounds expensive to me, Michael, but I do know that the laws are a little bit different over there, and sometimes you have to do that. I chose to do it due to lack of experience and give me better options in employment. I know it's a little different over there, and that they look at it a lot differently, because as far as I know, the original bartending schools are actually in Europe, and they're much more thorough, and they're much more dialed into what they teach you for the actual job. Whereas like the American versions, they basically did a bad ripoff of the European bartending schools, and it doesn't translate very well, and so that's why it's not looked as highly upon over here. My rule with bartending schools is if it's easy for you to afford it, then go for it. But if you're scraping together your last 900 euros to do it, then, well, maybe it's too late now and you can't back out. But I recommend most people, if you're really scraping together the dollars to do it, then might considering to pass. But Report back. I'd be interesting to hear how that goes, Mike. If you don't mind me calling you Mike. Fingers is such a rice corn ales. Would suggest them to someone wanting to try something high, but usually drink Coors Miller, right? Yeah. I love craft. Like, we'll go to craft places all the time because my wife likes getting crafty. She loves she's into the hazy IPAs and stuff now. So there's a ton of really good microbrews around the Central Oregon area. So we'll go out and try stuff. I love trying all the different pilsners and lagers from craft places. Fantastic. Colin Powell says, yeah, they make a lot of IPAs where I work. Sure. Eden, what's your sign? Leo. Getting Capricorn, Pisces, Taurus vibes. I'm a Leo, sir. Thank you, Shake, for grabbing those. All right, cool. Thanks, you guys. We're going to call it there. Thank you for showing up. This has been another live edition of Making You Bartending Pro. My name is Jason. That's my man Shake moderating there. Thank you, Shake. Couldn't do it without you. Remember, you guys, the main thing you should do is get out, knock on some doors, shake some hands, try to get to know some people that can give you a shot, because that's going to be your best bet. Following up. Beyond dropping a resume, following up is the most important thing you can do. I think it's more important than dropping a resume, but you have to drop the resume first. So the most important thing you can do is follow up, because you'll get to know people, they'll start to remember you, and then when something pops up, if you have a list of 20 or 30 places that you're talking to on a regular basis, you will get a shot. And then just be willing, really, to start in other positions. If you don't have any experience, try not to get hung up on only starting as a bartender, especially if it's not clicking. I would really not recommend you passing another job in another position unless it's something that sounds really terrible and you're going to hate, and don't do it. But try to have an open mind, because even the menial, small-time dishwashing, prep cook, whatever behind-the-scenes jobs can be fun, and you're still working with the crew, you're still getting a feel for everything. And the more you can learn about this industry, the more valuable you'll be to your owners and managers in the future, and allow you to just, you'll have more knowledge that you can then just use that to move up. And who knows, maybe you get in there and you realize, like, no, I don't want to be a bartender, I want to be a cocktail waitress, or I want to be a chef. Who knows? So that's it for this one. Remember, follow everything on Bartending Pro, all the social stuff. We'll see you again next week, 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. That's West Coast United States. And until then, have a good week, you guys. Get out there, kick some ass. I want to hear some good stories that you're getting a job. And I will see you then. Cheers.